good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So, yesterday we were talking about how the release of the dollar was just all around bad news for Egypt. But here's the thing is, I was talking about from one point of view. So, that's already happened. Things don't look good. That already happened. Things look like they're going to get worse. That looks like the case. So, what can we as a society and what can we in the coming few days, coming few weeks, coming few years do in order to be able to withstand this crisis and be able to handle this crisis? Now, you're gonna hear a lot of financial advice be like, you need to invest, you need to diversify, you need to save. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and depending on those questions, depending on what you need to do. 1, do you have an income currently that you can save from? If yes, then save. How much should I save? If I don't have an income that I can save of, my paycheck is, I live paycheck to paycheck. And then in that event, if you cannot find a second job, you cannot find something to diversify in. This is when you diversify. You start trying to find more areas for income, more like an ability to get more income. Now, when I talk about more income and when I talk about diversification, when I talk about investment, since I follow the Islamic, I follow Islam, I'm a Muslim. So the extra step for me as a Muslim is I look for what they call halal, or something that is deemed appropriate or deemed correct. That means if I'm going to diversify in a company, like if I am going to, let's say, buy a company stock, then I need to make sure that that company does not serve alcohol, does not serve pork, is not into illegal activities or what we deem as immoral activities. So that's the extra stuff for me as a Muslim. The same thing with like the Abrahamic religions. Every donation of the Abrahamic religion has its own set of rules. So that's the extra thing. That's just in the event. I'm talking about like in the event that you're like Islamic, and that's the reason. That's the reason why I never go, you need to do this, is because every person is different. And I cannot assume that everyone who's listening to this is a Muslim, everyone who's listening to this is of the Abrahamic religion, everyone who's listening to this is like some socioeconomic status. Cannot do that. Everyone is different. So depending on what you can do and depending on what you can do, you can take this or you can do extra steps. In my case, I need some extra steps. Now, second thing. So I can save now. So what do I do with saving? A lot of Muslims are going to tell you to invest in land or in gold. And they'll be like, gold, because gold can save the money. Okay? Here's my take on gold. Here's my take on land. Land indeed does not lose its value. Regardless of, it's something that we've learned in economics, it's something that we've learned in marketing, it's something we've learned in school. And we've learned from our grandparents and great-grandparents and our own parents. Land never loses value. However, land is not easily liquefied, meaning you cannot have liquidity out of land. If you're going to buy land, it's not going to be easy to sell it. So is it a great investment? Yes, long term. Is it for short-term reasons? If you need something short-term, not a good investment for short-term, because again, it is hard to liquidate it. It's hard to put it into cash. And if you're going to put it into cash, you're going to lose a lot of money on it. So that now we go to gold. And they're like, yeah, well, I'll buy gold. First of all, for you to really invest in gold, you need to buy pure gold. By pure gold, I mean pure. Not like no imperfections, no impurities, nothing. Now, this is pretty expensive. You're going to be like, well, it's going to increase its price. Yes, again, we get into the same problem. It's easier to liquidate it. It's easier to have it, to pay cash for it. But again, you're selling it at a loss. So Is it a good investment? Maybe it is for like short terms, and if you're really in need of cash, it is a better chance than land. Now, if you have the options to invest either that or this, and you want to invest, now you want to say, I want to invest in something that is secure. There is a debate on the next one that I'm going to talk about. There is a freaking debate about it in the Islamic world. Okay, and the debate is, some say that it's a good thing, it is halal, some say that it's haram. And those who say it's haram, they have their reasoning. Those who say it's halal, they have their reasoning. And it's not a majority and it's not a minority. It's very much, both of them have like strong names backing each one of them. So it depends on your madhab, it depends on your choice, and it depends on how desperate you are. And by desperate, I mean how much more income you need, and how much more income you need, and how much you're willing to tie your money. And that's exactly what it is. It is the certificates of banks. Bank certificates. Now, bank certificates in technicality, and if you're a financial person, you can correct me for this information. I'm more than willing to listen to it. In technicality, it is you're giving money to the bank for it to invest for you. This is how I understood it, and how those who say that it's halal say it is saying it is an investment, and it is a return on investment. So you're investing with the bank, which is a secure way of investment, and you're pretty much helping yourself to be like, you're doing what you can do. You're doing the best thing you can do, and it's all on the bank, not on you, on the bank, and then you get a return on it, and the return is monthly. There's monthly return, quarterly return, or annual return, and it depends on what you do with the bank. Now, the reason they say it's so if I want to invest in something like that, and I want it to where it is, I want it to be the safest bet. The ones who say it's haram say you can do the same thing, but with Islamic banks. If somebody has an Islamic bank. Now, here's the thing is, here is my take on this. All banks, regardless if they are Islamic bank or they are non-Islamic bank, the rule system and the ruling is from the central bank. So whatever the central bank says is going to happen, it will happen. Now, the difference between Islamic banking and different bankings, for me as a consumer, I see really no difference between the two of them. For those who are very much pro Islamic banking, say that the difference between them is that you make sure that the money that you're going to invest in with the Islamic banking will be used in its appropriate place. You're not that sure with the other banks. Okay, great. Argument for you now. You're saying that they're not going to loan it out. Banks make their money from loans. Regardless if they are Islamic bank or non-Islamic bank, that's how they make their money, is from loans. And they make the money from the loans is through, there are two types of loans. And this is why it gets, like I said, this is where it gets very dicey, very gray area. It's the type of loans. There are loans that are with interest rates that are excruciatingly high interest rate. Therefore, as a Islamic person, I think that is haram and we should not do that. Now, there are other loans that are, for my opinion, loans in general are not a good thing. We've seen it happen so many times with so many different things, and I don't agree on loans. But then again, here's the thing is, if the loan is being used, because this is the argument that I've heard a friend of mine told me yesterday, was if that loan was used to build a hospital. Let's say the hospital is currently having a hard time staffing people because of the increased rates of like salaries and increased prices of the equipment, and these equipments are life-saving. They are needed, and I need to borrow this money in order to pay and get these life-saving equipment. In that event, will it be still bad? And this is something I need you to do when you're thinking about these things. I need you to think about, especially when something is said to be like, if there is something that we all agree, like we all agree that lying is haram, stealing is haram, most killings is haram, we all agree on that. Then there's nothing, there's like, it's there, it's on the Quran, and that's where the madhab is. Now the madhab, again, and I do apologize for the little rant and the little digression, because this is one of those things where it depends on what you want and what you do and what do you believe in. But this is one of the things that they're more of the sure way of getting money back, like getting increased money, is through, like I said, the bank certificates. And the other thing you can do is mutual fund. But mutual fund, again, is very dicey. If you're non-Muslim, go for it. If you're Muslim, again, ask. Depends on your madhab, and ask about it. Now, is there a way I can get money, that I can surely get money, and it's a halal way? There are applications that have done that. There's one that is currently being advertised a lot on YouTube, but I'm being the cynical person that I am. I look at things like that and I'm like, is it really halal in the terms of halal? Because the guy who runs it is a hedge funder, and he is responsible for hedge funding. And last I've heard about hedge funding, it is way not halal. Last time I've heard about it. So again, questionable. But again, they do say that they have one of the other persons who, like, one of the owners is a hedge funder, and then the other owner is a sheikh. So sheikh and a mufti, and this guy says that it's halal, and and I'm not going to say the name of the company, because again, if I'm going to endorse this company, I need to make 100% sure that this company actually lives up to its thing, because I don't want to take the sin out of it. If I'm going to take sin, I'd rather not take that sin. Or if it's a scam, I'd rather not be it a scam. However, like I said, it's very much being endorsed by a lot of like Islamic YouTubers who are very vocal about their opinions. So that's why I'm like hesitant about it. Anyway, so that's the other thing. Now, what else can I do? I can just save my money and put it under. We used to joke around in Arabic and say, يحطه تحت البلاط. We just put it under like the tiles, and it's just put it in the house. Your money value is losing its value. Your money is losing its value as per time. This is the other thing about the certificates. The certificates that you get kind of save the same value of the money, so you're not really losing money. You're not losing the value of the money that you're putting in. So that's another thing. Okay. Can't do any of this. I am a human being who is living paycheck to paycheck. There is no way I can get another job because I've reached a certain age, or I look a certain way, or I am of a certain group that I cannot work. And I'm talking about Egypt. I'm not talking about the world. And I will get discriminated against. So I know that I cannot get another job. I also know that I cannot get overtime. I cannot get any other thing. And what am I to do? What am I to do in that case? Save money by saving expenses. Meaning, if you're currently using the transportation, try carpooling. Have some of your friends who have cars that can carpool with you, and you just ship in for like the gas prices, so you don't have to pay as much from the gas prices. You can save expenses from like things like vegetables, eating from like food. And I hate to say that I really, 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 really hate it that I have to do this thing, but I kind of don't have a choice. If you have reached to the point where your paycheck is paycheck to paycheck, you cannot afford anything. You cannot afford to move, or to move to a less, if you're renting, to move to less rent, and you can't do anything about it. The only thing you can do, and you should do in this event, is you're gonna have to save how you spend your money. Now, here is where I've seen it happen in the US, is people will start saving money and cutting costs on medication. And by medication, I mean life-saving medication. Now, here's the good thing about Egypt. Okay, this is one of the few positives about Egypt, is that in the event that you have a life-saving medication that you require, there are places in Egypt. The Office of Health Ministry, or the مكتب الصحة يعني in Arabic, great area to start. They will do their best to the best ability. They will do, and they will try to get you the medication for free. If it's life-saving and you really require it. Now, there are donations. There are people who donate medications, they donate things. There are doctors who actually will give you, and pharmacists who will give you the medication for free. So, but it just depends on the community you're in and on the society you're in, and hopefully you're in a really good society. I have faith in the Egyptian people for that. Not because it is something that is something that I've heard. No, it's something that I've seen over and over and over and over again. Is when they get together and they get to actually plan to do something good, they will do something good. And if they can afford getting three of the most expensive injections to save the life of children, I think they can do it in other things as well. I think that can be done. So that in that case, you have to first ask, and you have to first make sure that you can get that medication, that you can get it for free. And if you can get it for free, then you can save that money, because most of the life-threatening medications or life-saving medications are very expensive. Life-saving treatments, again, there are the university hospitals are a risk, but again, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you kind of don't have a choice. They're a risk, but on the other hand, I have seen, I have experienced, and I have read a lot of good stories about it. So that is, again, this is one of the few things that are positive about Egypt, is that we do have a concept of we don't have a universal healthcare, but we do have the healthcare is pretty much, to an extent, they're trying to do their best with the capabilities that we have, is pretty good for the capabilities that we have. The other thing about it is that, like I said, it's there are times where the health system is going to fail you, like any other system. But again, it's not every single place has every single problem. It's something that happens just a little bit more, and we can be fine. Hopefully everything will be fine. Anyways, that's the end of it. So bye bye.